Fall down on your knees.
Hey, at this time, I'd like to bring Steve Sears up here, our host for the evening. Steve, if you come up and kind of go over some of the ground rules for us.
Welcome everyone to the Stationery Factory. My name is Steve Sears, and it's a wonderful crowd. You guys are. This is a great event, and I just want to let you know, if you don't have a chair, we have tons of chairs that we can bring out. So it's a couple of volunteers around the corner. So if you need a chair, don't worry. A couple of things that I need to announce. The emergency exits are back on that corner back there. There's one over there, and there's one over here, and the bathrooms are located back there. And I just want to tell you a little bit about what's going on here. It'll only take a second. We are trying to develop the Stationery Factory into a place to have public events just like this. We have 17 businesses and 50 employees now in this building. We're really happy about that. We are trying to build a venue that we're in tonight. Take us probably another year, but we're trying to put in a world-class performance center. So we'll be bringing in, we really hope to bring in national acts. We had the Albany Berkshire Ballet here recently. We've had play readings. So if you're interested, you can go onto our website, and Stationery is E-R-Y, not A-R-Y. So A-R-Y is fixed in place, and E is for envelope. Most people misspell it, I do too. Anyways, tomorrow night at 4 o'clock, there is an art opening, which is the start of a 2-week environmental fair that's here, and it ends up on the 21st, where we have a festival, and the whole building will be full of vendors and stuff like that. So I invite you to come. There's concerts at the end of the month that you can come to and stuff like that. So I only have one other thing. If Ed Cormier is here, he didn't sign his time card. This is from, he was born in March 21st, 1932, and in my desk I found his time card from 1949, and it's a wonderful thing. I have a whole bunch of time cards for people that work here, and it is such a cool thing to give them back to them. So, but I also know that he was one of the owners who were on it here, and so if you sign this, you'll probably get about 15 cents in the mail. Anyways, you guys have a great night. Thanks for coming here to the Stationery Factory, and come back. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Bernie Clem, and I am the president of the Board of Governors of the CRA. And it's just wonderful to see that Dalton and the surrounding communities come out for this event. Thank you all for coming out and supporting the CRA. Before we start the ceremony tonight, I just wanted to take a moment to introduce Pat West to say a few words, because the CRA, the town of Dalton, really the whole Berkshire community lost a close friend recently when John Kittridge passed. And so I'd like to bring up Pat West at this time from our Board of Trustees to say a few words.
I'd like to thank the people who put this together as well. I'm not going to go through everybody's name, but wow, this is really pretty amazing. I'd also like to congratulate the award winners, Ben and Brendan, certainly deserving. Kelly and Nick, very deserving as well. Congratulations. In a recent article in Berkshire Eagle, John Kittridge's daughter, Judy, said, a lot of people have said he's a true gentleman in every sense of the word. Thoughtful, kind, gracious, and humble. That sounds exactly like the man that I knew. Mrs. Judy Kittredge said he would certainly be horrified if he knew we were going on about him like that. It's certainly true that he would be horrified, but he's also a kind, generous man, and he would understand. John Kittridge was Kib Kittredge's brother and a friend to everyone here. Now, you may not have met him, you may not have ever even known what he looked like, but he was a friend. Well, some of you may not have known him personally through the work he did for Berkshire County, the town in general, training companies, and especially the CRA. He let everyone know that he was their friend and that their well-being was important to him. I met him in 1972 when I was a watchman at Training Company. And then 2 years later, I moved in basically his backyard on School Street. Most recently, we served together as trustees at the CRA. At his funeral, one of the eulogists said that he had the knack of making everyone with whom he came in contact feel as though he really cared about them. I can personally attest to that in every experience I had with him. He knew your name, he respected you, and he was there to help. After attending Yale and spending a little time in the Counterintelligence Corps of the U.S. Army, which I didn't know until 2 weeks ago, I thought that was pretty neat. He spent a little time working at some local paper companies around that weren't training companies, but then he came home to work in the family business. He was the vice president and manager of currency operations. One of his employees, Jeff Costa, said that while he was officially the vice president of currency operations, they all knew him as vice president of names. He could meet 10 people for the first time in a big group and not see them again for a year and know every one of their names and know every one of their life stories. And he would ask all the appropriate questions about it. He was as sincere a person as you will ever meet in your life. He was a passionate and respected community leader for all the Berkshires, but especially for Dalton. And I don't know if you read his obituary, but I'm not going to go through the list of boards that he was on, chairman of most of them, but he was really a dedicated person. He leaves behind his wife, Judy, who is as active and giving in the community as he was. His 3 children and their spouses, 4 grandchildren, 1 brother, and his wife. By the way, I had the pleasure of having his daughter as a student. She was a great student, but she was a better person, and very much like John. As many of you know, the CRA has just acquired John and Judy's home, the Kittridge House, through a gift by generous benefactors. The house belonged to his brother Gib before him. So as we say goodbye to John and honor Gib, their legacies will continue through the many new offerings that special home will provide. If I had a glass, well, I do have a glass. I brought my water. I have a glass. I'd like you to raise a glass to John. Thank you for everything you've done for Berkshire County and specifically for Dalton and the CRA. There are a lot of people like John Kittridge who dedicate their lives to their communities as John did, and we appreciate everything he did for us. Thank you. By the way, making proud. Give it up for that.
Very good. Thank you, Pat. A humble gentleman himself who was the winner of the Gilbert Award last year. It's time for our awards. So at this time, I'd like to introduce the first award, the Norman Pop Smith Award. And this award is given to a young man and young woman who have volunteered with the CRA and for the community. They enjoy volunteering. They're strong leaders and good role models. And at this time, I would like to invite all previous winners. Just please stand up and be recognized. And at this time, I'd like to invite Dustin Belcher to come to the podium, and he will introduce our first winner.
Thank you, Bernie. Each year, the Dalton CRA presents the Norman Pop Smith Youth of the Year Award to an outstanding boy and girl who have gone above and beyond in giving their time to serve the community. The Norman Pop Smith Award began in 1969 and has had many outstanding recipients over the years. This year's recipients are no exception. They're both very deserving young adults who have come through our programs and made time to give back to the youth programs that they participated in. Both Kelly and Nick serve as outstanding role models in our community for the kids that they have coached and worked with. I would like to congratulate Kelly McMahon and Nick Schneider as well as their families tonight on receiving this very prestigious award. The first award, the Girl of the Year Award, is given to Kelly McMahon. Kelly is the daughter of Dan and Barb McMahon and is a member of the class of 2018 from Wacona Regional High School. In the fall, Kelly will attend either the University of Vermont or Providence College and major in early childhood and special education. From early on, Kelly understood the importance of giving back to your community and community service. Kelly was a member of the Dalton CRA Leaders Club and is currently the co-president of the Dalton Rotary Interact Club. She also is a mentor in the Big Buddies program, the Best Buddies group, and the Home Run Baseball program. Kelly has spent many years coaching youth teams and helping to put on those special warrior nights and youth clinics for younger players in our community. Last year, Kelly was part of a large group of students that went to Detroit on a mission trip where she spent a week helping do community cleanups and run youth activities with local youth centers in Detroit. In addition to Kelly's volunteering, she played on the soccer, softball, and basketball teams at Wacona and served as a captain of this year's basketball team. Kelly is also the class secretary and a member of National Honor Society. On behalf of the Dalton CRA Board of Governors and staff, we'd like to congratulate Kelly McMahon as the 2018 Norman Pop Smith Girl of the Year.
Congratulations to Kelly. Just reading this, the plaque is inscribed Norman Pop Smith Outstanding Girl of the Year Award presented to Kelly McMahon, Dalton Youth Center 2018.
Our next award is the Boy of the Year Award. Nick Schneider is the son of Jim and Catherine Schneider and member of the class of 2018 at Wacona Regional High School. In the fall, Nick will attend RIT and major in industrial engineering. Nick is an active volunteer for the Dalton CRA in his community. For many years, Nick volunteered to help with the Dalton CRA Just for Kicks soccer tournament, our annual softball tournament, and youth basketball tournaments. You could find Nick helping to set up fields, keeping score, field marshaling, and all these events. Nick also volunteered at many of the CRA fundraisers over the years, such as the auction, the CRA golf tournament, and the crane paper sale. For the last several years, Nick has made time to coach youth sports teams and is co-president of the Dalton Rotary Interact Group, where he has helped to lead the group in making blankets for the homeless shelter, purchasing school supplies for children in need, and running a Thanksgiving food drive. In addition to all his volunteering, Nick is also a 4-year member of the Wacona soccer and baseball teams and represented Wacona at Boys State. On behalf of the Dalton CRA Board of Governors and staff, we would like to congratulate Nick Schneider on being named the 2018 Norman Pop Smith Boy of the Year.
Congratulations, Nick. The inscription, Norman Pop Smith Award, Outstanding Boy of the Year Award, presented to Nick Schneider, Dalton, 2018. Congratulations. Important to note, too, that Nick's brother Matt was also a winner of the Pop Smith Award. His parents are obviously doing a great job. The Schneiders, who are both great friends of the CRA, longtime volunteers. Catherine is on our board. Good job. My boys volunteer. No, they pretty much volunteered to eat everything that was in the fridge, so there was something. They can be recognized. Okay, on the adult awards, and at this time I'd like to talk about the Volunteer of the Year Award. The W. Murray Crane Community Service Award is given to an individual or to persons for outstanding and dedicated contributions to the CRA, Dalton, and the surrounding communities, particularly over the last year. The award is named after W. Murray Crane, who was a businessman, politician, and philanthropic individual. He followed the family tradition of philanthropy and personally came to the aid of sick and injured workers and needy Dalton families. He established scholarships for local students and underwrote loans for slumping businesses. He also supported the Congregational Church and local hospitals. And when he passed away, he left the money for the erection of the community house. So at this time, I would just like to read the previous winners of the Volunteer of the Year Award. Mick Lavinia, Robert Kowalski, Paul Warren, Marty and Robin Hubin, Mike Brennan, Dan and Sue Downer, Maureen Mitchell, Brendan and Annie Ronayne. And I'd like you to please stand. Anybody, previous winners who are here, to be recognized. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Gary Campbell, who is going to say a few words in introduction of this year's winner. Gary?
Thank you, Bernie, and congratulations to all the award winners tonight. Kelly and Nick, I've seen firsthand with all their work in the community, with the kids, certainly deserving. And Brendan, unbelievable job throughout the community. And CRA, everybody, this is the backbone. This is it. What you see in this room tonight, all the services that happen, the people that gather together. To me, it's Dalton. It's Central Berkshire. It's what we do. And tonight's award winner that I have the pleasure to speak about, Ben Melly, is no different. Ben's been coaching for over 12 years with our youth. He's been the president of Little League for 4 years. He's been on the board for 8 years. In that, football, basketball, and baseball coach. And beyond that, anything that you need from Ben Melly, it will get done. It will get done. He just has that work ethic. And it's such a pleasure for me to talk about him tonight because back in 1996, when I was lucky enough to be named the coach up at the high school for football, Ben was a senior that year and was my first class. that particular year. And I just, a quick story, because it didn't go well at the beginning. Those of you that know Ben, a little bit hard-headed at times, but his heart is pure. He was a junior, he played varsity, and Ben was a receiver, you know, glory boy. Catch the ball, scored a touchdown, get the girls kind of guy. And anyways, I walk in, I stroll in, and I make him an offensive guard. That real glory position of what number is he and where does he play? And is it that mosh pit in there where everybody's just getting dirty? And that isn't the story. The story is Ben wasn't happy. I think it was in doubles. He walked in, and he walked into the office at the high school, and literally, "Coach, can I talk to you?" "Sure." Coaches leave, Ben comes in. Ben slams the door. Now, I'm a young coach. I'm like, uh-oh, I think we're going to fight. I don't know what's going to happen right now. Things are going to go down, but I don't know what's going to happen. And Ben goes, "You know what? I've been playing this game for 8 years. I've been a receiver. I've been doing it, and you make me a guard." And I looked down and I said, "Ben, you're right. And you know what? I'm sorry, but it's what's best for the team. It's what's best for us right now. I know this is where you've been, and it's just a mix that I see, and I'm telling you, we had it out. He gave his reasons. I'm going to tell you, he left that office probably not too pleased still. But the fact of the matter is, and we're leading back to today, is he took that upon himself and became one of the best guards, best defensive ends, O-line, D-line, that we had. He's not the biggest guy in the world. But that year, we turned it around. And it was exactly the attitude we needed. And if anybody in here knows Ben Melly, it's his attitude towards each other, towards a team, towards a common goal, towards something to get it done. And that's what it takes to be a success. So it does not surprise me when they said, "Hey, does anybody want to volunteer to coach youth sports for 12 years? Does anybody want to volunteer to be the Little League president? Does anybody want to volunteer to do these things?" And when I hear Ben Melly and I hear he gets this award, there's no surprise here. Saw it 20-some years ago. A long time ago. I'm not going to date it, Ben said. All right. Anyways, the fact of the matter is his heart is gold. And his attitude and his demeanor is team and cooperative, and it's exactly what this whole thing embodies. And that is being a person that will go the extra mile for kids. And what I'm excited about, and I'm sure all the coaches in this room at the high school are excited about, is he's teaching our kids those same qualities young. It's not about you, it's about your team and how you can make us better. That's Ben Melly. Congratulations, Ben.
Thank you. Hard-headed, huh? I heard a lot of laughs over there, too. Hey, it is what it is. Thank you. I'm very grateful to you and the community for this award. W. Murray Crane, I did a little research on him. I didn't know too much. He was an immense asset to our community. He ran an amazing company with his father, who was part of an era that actually expanded Crane paper. Business grew, and so did his donations. Everywhere you go in this neighborhood, you constantly see a reminder of him. He served 9 years in political office, and it was said he never gave a speech. So I figured I'd follow suit and get off easy tonight. Thank you. I did have to thank a few people. I can't get off that easy, I guess. I really wanted to, though. But there's a few people I'd like to recognize. I am very thankful. I'm very thankful for all the people I've met and I coached with over the years. There's a long list of people, you know who you are. We are very fortunate to have you as part of our community. You are the reason why this community is the best. I am very fortunate. I am very fortunate to be a part of this community. I grew up here, hanging out at the DYC after school, playing sports. I was very fortunate to have mentors like Dan McMahon, Gunther Brettmeyer, Steve Stengel, Tom Callahan, John Donovan, and your very own Gary Campbell, just to name a few. These guys are amazing people who played an important part in my life. They coach more than X's and O's. They coach life lessons, pride, character, and giving 100%. I've been fortunate. I've been fortunate to have positive influences in my family, like my Uncle Mark, who's here tonight. He's been serving in Beckett as a volunteer fireman for over 30 years. Thank you, Mark. I'm fortunate to be a part of a family business that my parents had pursued their dreams and started in 1999. I have always been taught to give back to others. My mother and I feel privileged to be able to give back to such a great community. I'm very fortunate to have two amazing children who shared their father with other children, and an understanding wife who supports me with time I take to volunteer. We are fortunate. We are fortunate to be part of a community that cares about one another and wants the best for our people. We are very fortunate to be here tonight in this beautiful building that was resurrected by Steve Sears. I know W. Murray Crane and my father are here celebrating this night with us, not because of an award, but as a community coming together. I accept this award on behalf of all the volunteers that are in here. I'm looking around, there's like 100 of them. Could be up here at any given time, but I accept it for them, for the best place on earth I call home, Dalton and the surrounding areas. Thank you.
The award says the W. Murray Crane Community Service Award for 2018, Ben Malley. Congratulations. And our final award this evening is the Kib Kittredge Memorial Award. And it's given for outstanding service to our youth and programs in the community. Gilbert Kib Kittredge was a lifelong resident of Dalton who was active in the community as a director of the Pittsfield National Bank, the Berkshire Museum, the Community Recreation Association, the Boys and Girls Club of Pittsfield, the Berkshire County Red Cross, and Pittsfield Country Club. After his untimely death at the age of 45, the following was written about Kib in the Berkshire Eagle on October 8, 1970. His friendliness, his easy relationships with everyone he came in contact with, and his generosity of spirit came through on every level of his life. And at this time, I'd like to share the list of the previous winners of the award. James McClure, Richard Cayley, Jerry Grover, Louis Allegroni, Pat Allegroni, James Horth, Jack Cooney, Charles DeAngelis, Whitey Pearson, William Kipp, Dick Barker, The Hard Hat, Robert Wilson, Robert Powell, John Broderick, Cam Cachet, David Bueno, Kathy Burke, James Rivers, the Whitman family, Dalton Benefit Association, Fran Bauer, Timothy Bevan, Pam Swift, John Donovan, James Walton, the Dalton Fire Department, Mickey Miller, Timothy Zink, Ron Marcella, Louis Allegroni, Kathy Olstead, Bill Fugman, John Kittridge, Steve DiVirgilio, Tom Callahan, Wayne Crinnell, Kelly's Package Store, Ken Whitestone, Dan Filio, Peter Horth, Pat and Connie West. And all those who are here that have received the award in the past, please stand and be recognized. And at this time, I'd like to introduce John Mason, who will come up and introduce this year's award winner. John.
Well, I normally don't, well, I need to lower this too. Had a height restriction my entire life. I normally don't prepare anything to say about somebody, but when you're dealing with someone like Brendan for over 2 decades, has done so much for the community, you really have to put it down in writing and then take a look at what you wrote and say, wow, it's pretty impressive how much he's done for this community, that's for sure. But I first want to congratulate Kelly, Nick, and Ben, worthy award winners this evening. You know, I've talked to Dan many times about how much his kids do for the community and how they're always volunteering. I said, you know, what do you do? What do you tell your kids about volunteering? He says, I tell the kids that they don't volunteer or work out in the community, they have to go home and eat Barb's cooking. So they're out there every night. They're getting it done. You know, don't boo me, boo Dan. He's the one who told me. And you're on the couch soon. Congratulations to Nick. I've been fortunate enough to work with Nick. He's the dishwasher on Saturday nights at Jacobs. And let me tell you something about dishwashing at Jacobs on a Saturday night. You're up to your rear end and elbow in dishes the entire night. It's a Saturday night. You're working late. It's miserable. His buddy Gavin doesn't help him one bit. And Nick has a smile on his face the entire night. The kid just smiles, goes about his business. At the end of the night, could be midnight. Thanks, we'll see you later. You know, it's like, I'm beat. I've been sitting on my ass for an hour watching this kid work, and he's sitting there like, yeah, see you later. You know, and smile on his face. And it's a testament to his parents and how they raised their children. To Coach Matt. Matt was one of my favorite players of all time, and watching him work at the Lacona Country Club through the years as well. They've done a great job with their kids, so congratulations, Nick. Ben, same with you. I had the pleasure of coaching your son. Hopefully, if I don't get fired after tonight, I can coach him for a few more years. Who knew when you became president of Little League, you'd have to work on your letter writing skills to the Eagle. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about Brendan. Brendan been coaching sports in town for, you know, basketball 10 plus years, soccer 10 plus years, lacrosse. I mean, Brendan even coached lacrosse. He didn't know a lacrosse stick from a hockey stick, but they said, we need a coach, we need someone to help out, and sure enough, Brendan was there. You know, Brendan coaching through the years, he always know, you know, coaching could be tough, and at times there'd be, you'd have to overcome a few belly bumps in the road. I mean, bellies, or bumps in the road, sorry. He's also volunteered at the Lacona Chain Gang for over 20 years, helping out. And that goes back to when Boog used to tell us he was going to pay us to volunteer at the Chain Gang, and at the end of the year he'd say, oh, by the way, we don't have any money to give you guys for volunteering, but thanks for your service. Brendan's been involved with many communities and organizations, the Boog Powell Fund, which we started in honor of Boog 9 years ago. We've given over $50,000 back to the community over the last 9 years, and he's been a big part of that. The Benefit Association, which he's really known for, he's going on 23 towards 25 years on that organization, and 15 years as president. When Brendan stepped into that role as president, the Benefit Association was starting to fade. It was basically Boo, Timmy Bevan, Judy Paquette, and Brendan. And they needed someone to bring new blood and volunteers into that group. And Brendan took the lead on that. And over the last 2 decades, the Benefit Association has given back over $250,000 to the community. It's an amazing number. And it really has a lot to do with his leadership, his motivational skills, his emails, his hounding, his ability to tell you that there'll be a couple of beers at the end of whatever we do. Brendan's a part of the Fair Association, and I'm not sure if you guys have realized this, that there could be a new change to the fair this year, the name of it. It's not going to be the Dalton Carnival anymore. Brendan's pushing for it to be called the goddamn Carnival. And for you who are not on his email list, Brendan's going to be setting up a booth out back after the awards. He's going to be taking email volunteers via email for the carnival coming up and anything else that he has that he's working on. So make sure you see Brendan at the end. Brendan's also been involved in the Irish American Club, and which is, he brought the legendary Wolf Tones for like 20 years. He brought Wolf Tones. The Wolf Tones are a great band from Ireland, but they're responsible for a lack of productivity in Berkshire County following the show for 20 straight years. And we can thank Brendan for that. Brendan's also a part of the Lacrosse Booster Club. He's spearheaded so many community projects. I know one that's near and dear to his heart was the DYC rehab project. There was talk a few years ago about closing the DYC, giving it to the town. Brendan, with a group of volunteers and other people, it wasn't just him, but so many people stepped up and made the DYC important again to the community, where kids can go, there's meetings. Dustin and Dan, they kicked out of the CRA and moved them over there. I think that was on purpose. So that was a huge part of our growing up, was to be able to go to the DYC, and kids still have that opportunity today because of a project like that was done. Also the playground, Pine Grove Playground Workday. Brendan sent out one of his other emails. You could try to put it into spam. I tried, but it doesn't work. It still gets to you. And he tells you what you have to do and what time you got to be there. So he took care of that and helped organize that. He also was a big part of the CRA gym floor committee. Not only worked on the committee end, but also organizing the work weekend. And they did a great job. If you haven't been over to the CRA to see the floor, it's amazing what they did. It's a great addition to the community. It's well done. I know the Board of Governors and everybody involved, they should be applauded for everything they did to help that out as well. So I thank you for doing that as well. When Brendan was at Savick, they had a few other projects for the high school. There was a new science lab that they installed. Fitness trail equipment through near Nessicus and Wacona. You see why I had to write all this down. This is unbelievable. There was a little project of Brendan's that he took upon, which was the Craneville soccer fields. And whenever Brendan was feeling, good or in a good mood or whatever, I would just ask him when this process was going, how were those cemetery meetings that you had to go to talk about getting back some soccer fields? And then it would start flying. So it was my little way of digging at him. But they eventually got the fields. There is a fence there, but he was able to play soccer on those fields. Something that was brought to my attention by Dustin tonight was, Brendan, through the early years, he is a past W. Murray Crane Community Service Award winner with Annie. They won it the first year in 2009. Brendan was also a Youth of the Year back in 1988-89 year. And now this award. This will be the first person in the community that's received all 3 awards. And it's pretty impressive for a guy he's really a young guy. I mean, he has a lot of gray hair, but he's a young guy. And I blame the gray hair on his daughters, mainly Katie. But it's pretty impressive what he's done in his early years and how much he's given to the community. So that's amazing. Brendan was also a camp staff member at the CRA way back when, and he had this boss. And this boss would give him googly eyes, and I don't know. But she's still his boss today, so... Andy, you saw something in him way back when, and good for you, because he was definitely a keeper back then, and thank God you're still bossing him around. Brendan was also a junior-senior leader chaperone. Brendan was a great chaperone. One year we went up to Montreal. There was 6 kids, 7 chaperones, and Brendan had to babysit all 13 of us. He did a great job. 12 of us came home. We left 1 chaperone. That's a story for another day. We also had a couple of trips down to Connecticut. We'd take the kids, and Brendan wouldn't drink beer as a chaperone on those trips. It wasn't because he wanted to be a good example. He sent us out for wine coolers. Pick me up a 4-pack of wine coolers for the weekend, he said. You'll never live that down. Finally, in all seriousness, it takes a family of support to have someone like Brendan give back so much to the community. Annie and the girls, you know, to be there understanding your dad's out for meetings, he's coaching, he's doing so many things, and to allow him to do those types of things to make this place a better community to live in, it means a lot, speaking on behalf of the community, that you guys let your dad do so much for us. It really is important, so thank you. We have the Romaine family. His parents are up from Pennsylvania. His Uncle Chris is in town. The Roy family is represented as usual. They're pretty easy to get to a place where you say, food and drink? Oh yeah, we'll go. Oh, but no, Brendan's getting honored too, so don't forget that part. Dan McMahon, I know Dan had a big impact on Brendan as well. John Vosberg, Boo Powell, God bless his soul. All the members of the Benefit Association, past and present, have had a big impact on what gets done in the community, so all those past and present, thank you. And all the members of the Boo Fund as well. And finally, I'll wrap this up. I don't want to go as long as a few years ago. Brendan's, you know, his passion about his community makes it a better place for us to live in. And that's entirely, everybody in the community, it is a better place because he has so much compassion and passion for what he does and cares about in this community. He never says no when helping out a family member, friend, or anybody in the community. He's been a tremendous contributor to the community for over 20 years, but he's even a better father, husband, brother, son, and friend. And it's my pleasure to welcome the 2017 Kib Kittredge Award winner, Brendan Romaine.
I thought it'd be safe asking Mace to speak on my behalf because I'm doing his taxes, and I haven't sent him in yet, so I thought he had to be made a little while. So, also like to thank and congratulate Kelly and Nick. I know the senior class pretty well. These 2 individuals represent their families, their town, their school, their peer group very well, so congratulations. To Ben, already spoke about your time in the football and the baseball and everything you've done there. I did Little League for a while, so I understand. But some stuff that Ben, you might not realize about Ben, Gary mentioned it, you know, he's willing to go that extra mile. We were doing the Pine Grove cleanup, and we didn't even ask, but himself And Todd Walton and LP Adams, they took the old bleachers at Pine Grove for the softball field, took them back to their business, cleaned them, painted them, brought them back to the park. You know, the stuff that he just does without anybody really knowing. And then one more, you know, we just did the CRA floor, and they got a new scoreboard. I think Gary and some others were involved in getting that, but Ben's company again stepped up and helped clean that up and get it hung up for us. So thank you very much. You well-deserved honor. Let's see, where to begin? First, I'd like to thank the CRA board and the committee for choosing me. I truly love being part of this community. When Bernie called, I was pretty shocked. I usually think of this award as an award for someone that's a little bit older, but as it was hinted earlier, maybe I'm not that young as I think I am. So, I really am truly excited to be here, and congratulations and honored to receive this award. Quick story about the auction. You guys make it up to the table at the end of the night when you're checking out. The first night Andy and I came, one of our friends, Mark Macklom, who I think I saw here earlier, took our number and wrote it on a bunch of things. We didn't really know what we were doing. He goes, come on over and I'll show you how it works. And we ended up checking out at the end of the night. We ended up with a signed football and a jersey that we had no idea. I think it's still at home too. So, but thank you, Mark, for breaking us in on how the auction works. So, learned a lot about volunteering young on. My mom volunteered everything at St. Agnes, Dad in the Irish Club, so thank you for setting a good example. As people mentioned earlier, really could be out of the house every night, so I really want to thank my family, Andy, Katie, and Hannah, you know, for supporting me. So thinking back, really had a great time. I mean, volunteering is great. I encourage people to do it. You know, when some of these stories, you know, Leaders Clubs trips, Boston, Montreal, camping. Who wouldn't want to do those things? I mean, you don't have to pay anybody to go on those trips. Chaperoning, use that term loosely. Yes, I did like wine coolers at a time. Thank you for that, Mace. I did have the Bartles and James poster guy there too, I think, at some point. I joined the DBA right after college, took over the treasurer role from Kathy Gennari, worked with Boog, Timmy Bevan, Judy Paquette, John Mason, Mark Haley, Mark Hogue, Jeff Noble, others, to raise money for the youth of our community. And over time, those people gave their lifetime of service and they were willing to move on. So I said, give me a little bit of time to try and see what we can do. Mark Hogue wanted to sell the trailer at the end of the carnival, and because he just had enough. And I said, no, we need a little bit of time. The trailer needed to go, but we needed a little bit of time to raise some money. So I organized a meeting with Craig Calvert, Eric Furlong at the Old Forge. Yes, you do get more done at the bar sometimes, it is true. To see what we could do about the DBA. And so we said, let's reach out to people at Craneville. Our kids were young. The only ones that were going to miss out on the activities would be our kids. So we said, we got to do something. And so we said, the people that are going to be interested, the parents that have kids at Craneville, they're going to be in it for the long haul. So that first year, Andy and I actually funded the carnival out of our pocket till we got reimbursed to pay us back for all the supplies. But today we have over 20 members, and it's a track record. We have a track record of successful events that are well organized with one goal, basically. It's really creating opportunities for our community. But, you know, I can't stand up here tonight. You know, it's not all me. It's really, I'm on the shoulders of everybody in the Benefit Association. So honestly, if you've been a member, currently a member, there's 20, 30 members. I'd like to name them all, but I can't. Thank you very much for everything that you do for our community. I just hit on a couple of the events. You know, there's been so many, but, you know, just recently we did a Cabin Fever dance to raise money for the high school music program, which is great. The gym floor. The best thing about these events is it's not just adults, there's actually kids out there helping us. There was videos that we have that might even be playing here tonight. So it's really getting the kids involved too, giving back. The Wacona scoreboard, the Pine Grove cleanup, again, kids were out there helping. And, you know, just one of the things, you know, both for the Boog Fund and for the DBA, you know, we've given over $20,000 in camperships for families that can't afford and need help sending their kids out there in the summertime. So that's one thing we're really proud of. Another group is the Robert Boog Powell, and it said when he passed away, they called him Mr. Dolan. He's definitely the ultimate benchmark to measure yourself against. with a core group of families, the Rivers family, the Dumas family, the Coonies, the Powells, the Masons, Kenny Pease. You know, we continue to keep his legacy alive in town. This is our 9th year coming up. In 8 years, we've already given away 36 scholarships and close to $20,000 in scholarships to graduating students who are home. So in addition there, you know, we've also sponsored the Coaches versus Cancer for the girls basketball tournament. We've redone all the athletic banners at the high school. That was one of Boog's wishes. Funded the youth group mission trip. And the other thing I just want to say, you know, there's so many businesses in town, you know, that help us out, and, you know, we can't do it without them. They're all here, some of them past winners, but thank you for all your support as well as we go do all these events. As they said, yeah, I followed my dad's footsteps in doing the Irish American Club, bringing the Wolf Tones in. I think we could probably do one final farewell tour, maybe. So maybe on this stage, I don't know, but we'll see. We saw them last week in New York City. They're very good still, you know, great friends to hang out with. So, one thing I found out about volunteering is a great way to get involved when you go somewhere. You know, so every place I've worked, I've gotten involved with community events. You know, when it started off at Beloit, we organized United Way golf tournaments. At Sabic, you know, we had the volunteer board, and we run, you know, we did probably every playground in Pittsfield over, science labs all over, you know, so what we're able to do in the community is pretty impressive. At Crane, I'm there now, training the community. We've got science fair judges, we've built bridges out in the Boulders property, Habitat for Humanity, car washes for the Best Buddies program. So it's been just a great way to get involved. And honestly, I have to say the award this year is even more special now that I work for Crane and understand truly the lasting legacy that the Cranes and Kittridges has left in our community. So, the community we live in is honestly, it's amazing. There's so many role models for people. I'm glad to be part of this prestigious club. I do know I have more time to serve, so I look forward to getting involved more. But I look at some of the past winners. I got the list last night, and I'm going to not be able to hit everybody. Bernie, I thank you for reading all their names. But, you know, the Whitmans are still here tonight. They're still coaching. They're still volunteering. Pete Mork, one of the former members, was one of the first guys to call me when we were doing the CRA gym floor. Kenny Whitestone, there's not a team that's missing a photo anywhere that goes around. And his kids are long gone on the programs. Pat and Connie West, between the coaching and the CRA board, we were doing a fundraising event a couple of years ago, and Pat had his bad back, and he said, I can't make a meeting, but why don't you come to my house? You know, it's that type of thing. They're so committed to the community that they're willing to keep things going. And then all the DBA was actually a former recipient, and, you know, Boog and Timmy Bevan, former leaders of the DBA, so, and many others that I can't, you know, recall tonight. Going on 25 years with the Benefit Association, and I do honestly think there's room to grow. After reading the many scholarship applications over the years, seeing what my daughter's peer groups are committed to outside of school, it's pretty encouraging. I don't think there's going to be any lack of volunteers, award winners for the next few years coming up. So, the other thing, I attended the 40 for 40 last week to honor an employee at Crane, and the amazing thing was the first person they announced was a 16-year-old girl. So it's great to see young people getting involved, and I encourage you all to do the same thing. The DBA is always looking for members. You know, it's a new marketing tool. If you're in the DBA and you want to take on a leadership role, look where it can get you. So honestly, think about getting involved. And as May said, it honestly would be unlike me to take this opportunity not to ask for help. So truly, the Dalton Carnival is coming up. It is a huge fundraiser, June 6th through the 10th. It is, I forget what you said, the goddamn carnival, I think it was. But it is the best fried dough in town. I have, in 25 years, I've never eaten a piece of it since I've stretched so many pieces of it, so, but I heard it's the best. The Boog Golf Tournament is June 16th. Come out and support us, help us give more scholarships. The lacrosse night at the races is May 5th. Honestly, thank you again. Spend some money tonight and volunteer, so thank you very much.
representative who will present the citation to all the winners. So all the winners, please come forward to be recognized by Paul.